Because you saved her, I'll marry you." The sentence cut through the oil-scented air of Marcus Reed's garage like a blade. Rain dripped from the roof, hissing against warm metal. Marcus froze, wrench in hand, and turned toward the woman standing in the doorway. She didn't look real, cream coat, pearls, and hair that hadn't met the wind. Behind her, a black SUV idled, the kind that never drove through Harbor Point unless it was lost or looking for trouble. "Excuse me?" Marcus asked. The woman stepped inside, her heels sharp on the floor. "You found my daughter last night. You brought her home. You kept her safe. Because of that, I owe you, and I don't leave debts unpaid." Marcus blinked. The only child he'd found was the little girl now curled on a blanket near the space heater, drawing circles in the dust. 5 years old, silent, eyes too wide for her age. He'd carried her out of the rain after finding her wandering near the docks. No ID, no family calling. "Lady," he said, wiping his hands on a rag. "Where I come from, marriage isn't a thank you card." Her jaw clenched. "You don't understand. My name is Victoria Hale. My father, Richard Hale, owns Hale Corp Industries. He's sending people after us." Marcus frowned. "Us?" She nodded toward the girl. "Lily is my daughter." Lily looked up, clutching Marcus's old shop rag like a teddy bear. When she saw Victoria, her tiny shoulders stiffened. Victoria crouched, whispering, "Sweetheart, it's me." "En?" Lily backed away, pressing against the wall. Marcus sighed. "She's scared, ma'am. Give her space." Victoria straightened, defeated. "That's why I need you," she said softly. Marcus laughed without humor. "You need a lawyer, not a mechanic." She pulled a white envelope from her coat and slid it across the workbench. "This is a temporary marriage contract. It gives you shared guardianship. As long as you're her legal guardian, my father can't take her. He's already tried once." "In." Marcus stared at it, then tore it clean in half. "Paper doesn't buy honor," he said. Victoria's voice broke. "I'm not buying you, Mr. Reed. I'm begging for time." Before he could answer, the door opened. Eleanor, his gray-haired neighbor, peeked in, clutching her shawl. "Marcus, you all right, son? That storm's mean tonight." "All good, Miss Eleanor," Marcus said. Her eyes swept the room. Marcus, the rich stranger, the trembling child. "Fine," she said quietly. "Never sounded so heavy." "Oh." She touched Marcus's arm. "Sometimes God doesn't choose the strongest, just the decent ones who open their doors when the world shuts someone out." Then she left into the rain. Victoria's gaze followed her. "She's right, you know." "Don't start preaching," Marcus muttered. A sound outside, tires on gravel. Headlights flashed through the windows. A sleek black sedan rolled to a stop behind the SUV. Victoria went pale. "He found us." A knock measured, polite. Marcus opened the door halfway. A man in a gray suit stood under an umbrella, rain gliding off the fabric like oil. "Miss Hale," the man said smoothly. "Mr. Vance, on behalf of your father, we're relieved you're safe. May I come in?" "No," Marcus said. Vance smiled thinly. "Mr. Reed, I assume? Thank you for helping Miss Hale, but this is a delicate family matter." Marcus crossed his arms. "Not tonight, it ain't." Vance's smile hardened. He slipped a plain white card into the doorframe. "If Miss Hale reconsiders, she knows how to reach me." When he left, Victoria stared at the card, no name, just a number. "That's how he controls people," she whispered, with silence. Marcus grabbed his jacket. "Then don't let him. Pack what you need. We're leaving." Her eyes widened. "You're helping us?" "I'm helping the kid," he said. Outside, the rain picked up again, whispering against metal. Marcus threw a tarp over the truck bed and lifted Lily inside, wrapping her in his old army jacket. Victoria climbed in beside her, her hands trembling. As the engine started, Marcus looked at her. "You might want to explain why your father wants his granddaughter hunted down." Victoria's lips tightened. "Because she's the only thing he can't own." They drove into the fog, wipers squeaking. The lights of Harbor Point faded behind them, replaced by the dark outline of pine trees and the cold smell of salt. Lily slept in the back seat, clutching the toy truck Marcus's son had given her. Victoria stared out the window, her reflection pale and tired. "You ever been poor, Miss Hale?" Marcus asked quietly. "I've been powerless," she said. "That's worse." He didn't reply. Outside, thunder rolled across the bay. For a long time, neither spoke. Then Victoria said, Why are you helping us? Marcus's hands tightened on the wheel. Because the last time I ignored a child crying for help, I buried a friend 2 days later. The wipers kept their rhythm, thunk, thunk, thunk. The road ahead was slick and endless. Victoria turned to him. I meant what I said back there, she murmured. If we make it through this, my offer still stands. Marcus gave a small, tired grin. Let's survive first, then we'll talk about marriage. Outside, lightning split the sky, and for an instant, their faces glowed in the flash, two strangers bound by a storm, a child, and a truth neither yet understood. Marcus glanced at Lily, then at the road ahead. Justice, he thought, doesn't always come with badges or gavels. Sometimes, it just comes wearing rain-soaked boots, driving an old truck into the dark. By morning, every corner of Harbor Point was humming with a single piece of gossip. The black mechanic from Main Street had been offered marriage by a billionaire. In a town where nothing stayed secret, not the size of a man's paycheck or the color of his truck, it spread faster than a nor'easter wind. Marcus Reed felt it the moment he walked into Annie's diner for coffee. Conversations stuttered, forks paused mid-air. Annie herself, a woman with kind eyes and too much curiosity, leaned over the counter and whispered, "So, when's the wedding, hero?" Marcus stared at her, deadpan. "When pigs start tipping." A ripple of laughter followed him to his usual booth by the window, but the eyes stayed. Harbor Point had always been kind to him, mostly because small towns respected men who worked with their hands and raised their kids alone. But this was different. A rich woman, a missing child, an offer that sounded like a scandal folks couldn't decide whether to envy him or warn him. Sheriff Frank Morales slid into the opposite seat, hat in hand. "You've caused quite the stir, Marcus." "Didn't mean to. You never do." Morales was a friend, but also a lawman who liked things tidy. "There's talk. She's that tech heiress from New York, and talk her old man's looking for her." "He found her," Marcus said, stirring his coffee. "Sent a suit last night, the kind that doesn't ask twice." Morales frowned. "You planning to report this?" Marcus met his gaze. "If I do, he'll find her faster. You've seen the money men, they buy paper trails." Morales sighed. "You always did attract trouble." "I don't attract it. I just don't run fast enough." Outside the diner, the morning fog clung to the docks. Marcus drove back to his shop, but every honk, every wave felt loaded with meaning. Victoria sat in his office, still in the borrowed sweatshirt Eleanor had given her, typing furiously on a laptop. Lily sat on the floor beside Noah, stacking bolts like they were toy soldiers. "You shouldn't be here," Marcus said. "Half the town's seen you already." "I need Wi-Fi," she replied without looking up. And a moment to think. He leaned against the doorframe. "What's your plan, Miss Hale?" She stopped typing. "To get proof. My father's lawyer filed for emergency custody last night. He claims I'm unstable after the accident." "You're not?" he asked. "Only when I deal with family." Her eyes softened as she watched Lily giggle with Noah. She hasn't laughed like that in months. Marcus folded his arms. "You're hiding a lot, lady. You want me to keep helping. You better tell me why your old man wants his granddaughter like she's company stock." Victoria hesitated, then closed the laptop. "Because she is. My father thinks legacy is property. He's preparing to transfer control of Hale Corp. A child on paper gives him another decade of control. He arranged my accident when I refused to sign guardianship over to him." Marcus rubbed a hand across his jaw. "That's not legacy. That's lunacy." "It's business," she said bitterly. "And he never loses." The shop door jingled. Eleanor entered, carrying a basket of muffins. "Morning, kids," she said cheerfully. Her sharp eyes took in Victoria's tension and the children's laughter. "See? Doesn't take money to build a home, just coffee and kindness." She turned to Marcus. "Sheriff came by my porch. You're mixed up in something again, aren't you?" "Trying not to be," Marcus said. "Try harder." She handed him the basket. "Storm's brewing again tonight. Best keep your lights dim." When she left, Victoria asked quietly, "Why does she care?" "Because people here remember favors," Marcus said. "And debts." That afternoon, Victoria stepped outside for air. Harbor Point stretched before her boats, seagulls, the smell of diesel and salt. She'd spent her life in glass towers where everything gleamed, yet nothing felt real. Here, even the rust looked honest. "They look at you different," Marcus said, joining her. "Like you're an exhibit." "I don't blame them. I look different." Not from where I stand. She turned toward him, surprised. You think this'll work? Running? Running ain't the plan. Buying time is. And after that? After that, I'll figure it out like I always do 10 minutes too late. She almost smiled. You're a stubborn man, Marcus Reed. And you're a reckless woman, Victoria Hale. They stood in silence, the gulls crying overhead. For a moment, the world shrank to the sound of the waves and the distant hum of a lobster boat. Then Noah came running, breathless. Dad, there's a car down the road, black, the same as last night. Victoria's face drained of color. Marcus grabbed his jacket. Through the window, he saw the glint of a camera lens. A man in a gray sedan parked near the docks, pretending to read a newspaper. He's not police, Marcus muttered. He's a hound. They found us already? You got anywhere safer? My mother's cabin, 2 hours north, Victoria said. No cell service. He doesn't know about it. Then that's where we're going. She hesitated. What about your son? Where I go, he goes. Marcus turned to Noah. Pack your bag. We're taking a trip. Noah grinned, thinking it an adventure. Lily clutched his hand. Victoria looked at Marcus. You don't have to do this. Lady, he said, locking the door behind them. You already offered me marriage. Might as well see what trouble comes with it. She gave a nervous laugh, the first in days. They piled into the truck just as raindrops began to fall again, soft at first, then harder, drumming on the windshield like fate knocking twice. Marcus pulled onto the road, headlights cutting through the fog. The town disappeared in the rearview mirror diner, church, small lives left behind. He'll come after us, Victoria murmured. Then he better drive fast, Marcus said. He glanced at the children asleep in the back seat, then at her. Harbor Point's gonna have a new roomer by morning. She looked at him, tired but curious. And what's that? That I finally did something worth talking about. The road stretched ahead, narrow and dark, the rain washing away the last bit of quiet life he'd known. Somewhere behind them, the gray sedan's engine turned over. The chase had begun. The rain followed them north, steady as breath. By the time they reached the cabin, the world had turned gray and silent. It sat between two pine ridges, half hidden, its roof sagging with moss but still strong. Smoke stains marked the chimney, the ghost of winters long past. Marcus parked the truck, killed the engine, and listened. Only wind, no tires, no engines behind. Your mother lived here? He asked. Victoria nodded. Before my father decided comfort was worth more than peace. Her voice carried both pride and shame. Inside, the cabin smelled of cedar and dust. A faded photograph hung by the door, two young women at the shore, laughing. That's her, Victoria said softly. Evelyn Hale. He left her when she wouldn't sign the prenup. Marcus set down their bags. Guess rebellion runs in the family. Not enough of it, she replied. Lily climbed onto an old couch, hugging Noah's jacket. The girl hadn't spoken a full sentence, but her eyes followed Marcus everywhere. He felt the weight of her trust like armor he hadn't asked to wear. I'll start the fire, he said. He found dry logs stacked neatly beside the hearth, probably from Evelyn's last visit. Soon flames flickered, painting the cabin in gold. Victoria stood close to the fire, arms folded. I've got one night before he tracks us again. Marcus looked up. Then we make it count. She hesitated, then pulled a tablet from her bag. Everything my father owns runs through a private security fund money used to silence people. I need proof he used it to set up my accident. Marcus leaned in. You're saying he hired someone? Yes, a retrieval team. The same men who came to your shop. She scrolled, face pale in the firelight. If I can access those payments, I can bring him down. What's stopping you? I locked myself out. He owns the servers, the lawyers, the truth. Marcus stared at the screen, then at her. You got any of it offline? A backup drive, hidden in his Manhattan office. He gave a low whistle. So the plan is breaking into a billionaire's building? It's the only plan. He shook his head. Lady, you're a magnet for bad ideas. And you keep following them, she said, managing a small smile. The fire popped. Outside, rain softened to mist. Marcus sat back, rubbing tired eyes. Why'd you ask me to marry you? Victoria blinked. You think I was serious? You looked serious. I was desperate. Marriage is legal armor. It buys me rights to protect her. And what would it buy me? A lawsuit, probably. He laughed quietly. Good to know. They fell into silence, the kind that wasn't awkward, just heavy. After a while, Marcus whispered, "My wife used to say people don't break, they rust. You either fix the damage or live with the creak." Victoria stared at him, the firelight catching tears she didn't bother to hide. Did she? Cancer. 2 years after I came back from Iraq. She was the brave one. I just held the tools. He poked at the fire. I promised I'd never fix something that didn't want fixing again. Guess I broke that promise. Victoria's voice softened. You didn't. You just found something worth saving. Thunder grumbled far away. Lily stirred in her sleep, mumbling. Victoria went to her, smoothing her hair. For a second, Marcus saw the mother beneath the armor, the woman afraid of failing twice. He turned away to give her privacy, stepping outside into the night air. The forest smelled of pine and wet earth. His phone buzzed unknown number. A text. "We know where you are." He shut it off, heartbeat steady. They'd have to move again soon. But for now, he let the rain wash his thoughts clean. Inside, Victoria was staring at the white card Cole Vance had left. "He's not just a messenger," she said. "He handles the fund transfers. He's the link." "Then he's the weak spot," Marcus said. "If we get him talking, we get your proof." She nodded slowly. "I can bait him. He still believes I'll fold. And if he doesn't, then we run again." He looked around the cabin, old furniture, peeling wallpaper, a woman's laughter echoing from decades ago. "You sure this place can handle another storm?" "It's survived worse," she said. "So have I." Later, as the children slept, Marcus sat at the table with a mug of black coffee, watching the fire shrink. Victoria joined him, hair loose, exhaustion softening her features. "You ever wonder," she asked, "why some people get peace and others just keep fighting?" "Because the world needs both," he said. "Peace gets lazy without a fight." She studied him. "You sound like a preacher." "No, ma'am, just a mechanic who's seen what breaks when no one cares enough to fix it." Her eyes met his. "You don't trust rich people, do you?" "I don't trust anyone who's never been scared of losing everything." "Then you'll never trust me." "Maybe not," he said, "but I'll protect you all the same." She reached across the table, touched his hand lightly. "You don't have to." "Lady, I already am." A log cracked, sparks leaping upward like tiny stars. For a moment, it felt almost peaceful. Then headlights swept across the window. Both froze. Marcus whispered, "Stay down." He killed the lantern, grabbed his jacket, and peered outside. A car idled on the road below, same gray sedan, engine humming. A figure stepped out, umbrella black against the mist. "Cole Vance," Victoria whispered. "He's early." Marcus's voice was calm. "Then let's make him talk." He opened the door, rain hitting his face. The man by the car looked up, smiling as if they were old friends. "Evening, Mr. Reed," Vance called. "You've taken quite the detour." "You drove a long way for small talk," Marcus said. "Tell your boss to stay in his city." Vance chuckled. "I'm not here for him. I'm here for her, and the files she stole." Victoria stepped into view beside Marcus. "You mean the evidence?" she said. "I'd prefer the term property." "You can't own people, Cole," she said. "That's my father talking." Vance's smile faltered. "You always were dramatic." He reached into his coat, not for a gun but for another white card. "Last chance, Victoria. Come home quietly. Don't make me do what I'm paid to do." Marcus stepped between them. "You just made a mistake showing your face here." Vance looked him over. "Do you think you scare me, Mr. Reed?" "No," Marcus said, "but the truth will." Vance slid the card into the mailbox, turned, and left. The car vanished into the fog. Victoria exhaled shakily. "He knows now." "Let him," Marcus said. "Next time, we won't just be running." He looked at the glowing coals in the fireplace and thought about Eleanor's words. Justice wasn't loud, but tonight it had started to breathe. By dawn, the rain had thinned to mist. The woods around the cabin glistened like silver thread, the kind of quiet that could fool a man into thinking danger had lost their scent. Marcus didn't believe in quiet. He stepped outside with his coffee, scanning the tree line. The mud held tire marks, new ones. "We've been found," he muttered. Inside, Victoria was packing a small bag with trembling hands. "He'll come back," she said. "Cole never bluffs." Marcus nodded. "Then we move before he decides to knock twice." Noah stirred on the couch, and Lily's eyes fluttered open. "Mommy?" The word was soft but clear. the first time Marcus had heard her speak. Victoria froze, the sound hitting her harder than fear ever could. "I'm here, baby," she whispered, kneeling to wrap her arms around her daughter. Lily clung to her. Marcus turned away to give them the moment, pretending to check the door locks. He'd seen miracles on battlefields that made less sense. They left an hour later, packing only what they could carry. Marcus checked his truck, wiped mud off the license plate, and motioned to the kids. "Stay low till we hit the road." The cabin faded behind them, a ghost of safety already lost. They drove south, taking back roads lined with birch and pine. Victoria held Lily close, eyes on the window. "He won't stop," she said quietly. "He doesn't know how." "Then we'll stop him," Marcus said. "How? With honor? My father's been buying silence since before you were born. Then maybe it's time someone sends him a refund." She almost smiled. "You really believe justice still works?" "Not the kind in courtrooms," he said. "The kind people make when no one's watching." Her gaze lingered on him, something like faith stirring in her eyes. The truck hit a patch of gravel, skidding slightly before catching grip. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Someplace crowded," Marcus said. "People make noise. Harder to disappear folks in daylight." They reached the small town of Brookhaven by noon, a fishing community hugging the coast. Marcus pulled into a gas station. The attendant, a gray-bearded man in flannel, looked up from his newspaper. "You're far from Harbor Point," he said. "Storm must have driven you out." "Something like that," Marcus replied, filling the tank. Victoria handed the man cash, her hand steady despite the fatigue around her eyes. "Keep the change," she said. The man tipped his cap. "Bless you, ma'am." Lily smiled shyly from the truck window. For a fleeting second, they looked like any ordinary family on a road trip. Then Marcus saw the reflection in the glass, two men across the street, pretending to study a map. Suits in a fishing town were like sharks in a pond. He dropped the nozzle and climbed in fast. "Buckle up," he said. The truck pulled out just as one of the men raised a phone. Tires screeched behind them. "He sent more," Victoria said. "He's escalating." "Good," Marcus growled, turning onto a dirt road that cut inland. "Means he's nervous. Or certain. Lady, you really gotta work on optimism." They drove until the radio signal vanished, through miles of pine shadow and open sky. The road ended at a bridge under construction. Marcus cursed under his breath. "We'll have to backtrack." Before he could shift gears, headlights appeared behind them. "Too late," Victoria said. Marcus yanked the wheel, driving off-road into the trees. Branches scraped metal. Lily cried out. "Hold her," he ordered. The truck jolted down a slope and came to a stop near a stream. They climbed out, breathing hard. The air smelled of wet soil and danger. "They'll search the road first," Marcus said. "We've got minutes." He helped the kids hide behind a fallen log, then scanned for cover. The woods swallowed sound, amplifying every heartbeat. A voice called from above. "Victoria, you're only making this harder." It was Cole Vance. Marcus raised a finger to his lips. Lily whimpered, Victoria holding her tighter. Footsteps crunched closer. Marcus slipped his old army knife from his boot, the handle worn smooth. He caught Victoria's eye. "If I don't come back, don't you dare finish that sentence." He gave a faint grin. Didn't plan to. He crept uphill, keeping low. Cole stood by a tree, talking into a radio. "Yes, sir, visual confirmed. No resistance yet." Marcus moved like a shadow, stepping from mud to root to rock. When he was 10 feet away, a twig snapped. Cole turned, eyes narrowing. "Mr. Reed," he said calmly, "you're predictable." Marcus didn't answer. Cole's hand twitched near his coat. "You think you can stop men like Richard Hale? We write the laws you're so fond of quoting." "Maybe," Marcus said, "but laws don't keep you warm at night." He stepped forward. "Conscience does." Cole smirked. "Conscience doesn't pay bills. Neither will arrogance." They stared at each other until the distant sound of sirens echoed Sheriff Morales's voice on a loudspeaker. "This is the county sheriff. Lower your weapons." Cole's jaw tightened. "You called the police?" "No," Marcus said. "They called me." Cole's face hardened. "You'll regret this." "Already do." The man turned, slipping into the woods before Morales's deputies reached the clearing. Victoria emerged, clutching Lily. "You okay?" she asked. Marcus nodded. "Better now." Morales stepped forward, flashlight beam steady. "Heard your signal. Whole town's buzzing. You sure you want to keep this fight going, Marcus?" "No," Marcus said, glancing at Victoria and the kids, but running stopped working. Morales sighed. Then we'll do this right. There's a motel in town. Stay put. I'll buy you a day's peace. A day's enough, Marcus said. Later, at the motel, Victoria sat by the window, staring at the rain. You risked your life for strangers. You're not strangers anymore, Marcus said. You're a problem I can't ignore. She laughed quietly. You have a strange way of saying you care. He poured 2 cups of coffee, handed her one. I fix things, he said. Doesn't matter if they're engines or people. She took the cup, their fingers brushing. And if you can't fix us, then I'll make sure you don't break worse. Outside, thunder rolled again, distant but closing in. She looked at him, eyes soft with something like trust. Marcus, thank you. Don't thank me yet, he said. This storm's just warming up. She smiled faintly. Then we'll face it together. He didn't answer, just watched the rain streak down the window, knowing peace was temporary, but maybe, for tonight, it was enough. The motel walls were thin enough to let in the sound of rain and passing trucks, but not enough to drown out worry. Marcus lay on the couch, boots still on, a pistol resting on the table beside him. Every creak of the pipes felt like a warning. Across the room, Victoria sat by the window, phone in hand, watching the streetlights flicker. Lily slept in the next bed beside Noah, their small hands clasped together like peace treaties. You ever sleep? Marcus asked. Victoria shook her head. You ever stop guarding? Not since 2003. I suppose we're both broken in the same way, she murmured. He leaned back, arms folded. Broken's fine. Broken means you still got pieces to work with. She smiled faintly, but her gaze shifted to the window again. He won't stop, Marcus. My father doesn't just lose, he erases. Then we make noise, he said, loud enough that erasing us costs more than keeping us alive. Her eyes met his. You think justice is that simple? No, he said, but it starts that simple. Morning came pale and cold. Morales's patrol car pulled into the parking lot, mud splashing around the tires. Marcus opened the door before he could knock. You tracked them? Morales asked. They're moving south fast, Marcus said. Cole's got reach, probably tipped someone in Boston. Morales handed him a folder. Federal warrants are pending, but you didn't hear that from me. Stay put. If Hale Corp pushes this any harder, the Bureau will bite. Ain't that comforting? Marcus muttered. Morales lowered his voice. They're digging up your record, Marcus. Disciplinary notes, combat reports trying to paint you unstable. That'll play well on TV, Marcus said dryly. The black vet who snapped. You're not helping your odds. Marcus looked over his shoulder at Victoria. Neither's protecting her, but here we are. Morales sighed. You always did pick the long road. It's the only one worth walking. Morales clapped him on the shoulder. Call me before you move again. Then he left. Victoria approached as Marcus closed the door. They're using your past? Looks that way. Then I'll fix it, she said. I still have contacts in the media. If I can get someone to listen, you'll put a target on them too. That's how you fight men like my father, Marcus. You don't hide, you shine light. He studied her face, the resolve hardening behind exhaustion. You ever notice light attracts bugs? She ignored the jab and started dialing. By afternoon, she'd arranged a video call with an investigative journalist in D.C. Marcus stayed silent while she explained the situation, sharing fragments of files she'd managed to recover from her old servers. The reporter promised confidentiality, but Victoria's hands shook when the call ended. What if he gets to them first? Then he gets sloppy, Marcus said, and sloppy men make mistakes. Outside, the clouds thickened again, heavy with another storm. The children watched cartoons on a fuzzy screen, unaware of the tension thick as wire around them. Lily suddenly turned to Marcus. Can we go home? She asked softly. He crouched beside her. We're trying, sweetheart. We just got to take the long way. She nodded, trusting him in the way only a child could. That night, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. He went outside to smoke, standing under the neon motel sign humming in the drizzle. A black SUV rolled by slow, then kept going. He memorized the plates. When he came back, Victoria was sitting on the bed, holding an old photo, her and a woman with the same sharp eyes. My mother, she said. She told me once that love without courage is decoration. I thought she meant romance. I think she meant everything. She sounds like someone Eleanor would get along with, Marcus said. Victoria smiled sadly. She'd have liked you. I tend to have that effect on stubborn women. Is that what I am? No, he said. You're worse. She laughed quietly, the sound brittle but real. Then, faintly, a noise outside. Tires, doors, voices. Marcus moved fast, lights off, finger to lips. The knock came 3 seconds later, sharp, measured, professional. FBI, a voice called. Victoria froze. It could be real, or it could be him. Marcus looked through the peephole. 3 men, black suits, badges glinting, too polished. He whispered, "Grab the kids." She did. Marcus opened the bathroom window, helping Noah out first, then Lily. "Stay low, move to the tree line." He climbed out last just as the door crashed open behind them. "Freeze," someone shouted. Bullets tore through the curtains. Marcus pushed Victoria down, covering the children. They ran into the woods, the motel glowing behind them with flashing lights and shouts. When they reached the highway, Marcus stopped to catch his breath. "You okay?" "You were right," Victoria panted. "They're not agents." "No," he said grimly. "They're collectors." He flagged down a passing trucker, waved a 20. "Need a lift east, family emergency." The driver, a burly man with kind eyes, nodded. "Hop in. Folks don't usually run in weather like this unless they're running from worse." They climbed into the cab. The hum of the engine drowned out everything else. Victoria stared at Marcus's reflection in the windshield. "How many times can we keep running before one of us breaks?" "Until he does," Marcus said. "And he will. Men like him always do. They don't believe anyone can outlast them." "Can we?" she asked. "You've got kids sleeping on your shoulder," he said. "That's reason enough." She looked down at Lily and Noah leaning against each other, and for the first time since the storm began, she let herself breathe. The driver asked where to drop them. Marcus said, "Closest safe town with a roof and no questions." The man grinned. "You're in luck. My brother runs a repair shop in Portland." "Figures," Marcus muttered. "Can't outrun Grease even if I try." The driver laughed, the sound breaking the tension. For a brief stretch of highway, it felt like they were ordinary people again. But when Marcus glanced back through the mirror, a black sedan followed far behind, headlights off. He didn't tell Victoria. Not yet. She needed one more hour of believing they were safe. Tomorrow, he'd start planning how to make Richard Hale regret sending his men into the wrong man's storm. The truck hummed north through a ribbon of fog, headlights slicing dawn apart. Marcus sat alert beside the driver, watching the mirror. Behind him, Victoria held Lily close while Noah slept, head on her lap. The driver, Hank, glanced over. "Family?" Marcus paused. "Something like that." Hank nodded. "You'll fit in Portland. Nobody asks questions there." When they reached the edge of the city, Hank pulled into a small repair shop called Fisher Brothers Auto. "My brother Mike owns the place. He'll help you," Hank said. Marcus shook his hand. "Thanks." Hank smiled faintly. "Keep the kids safe." Then he drove away into the fog. Mike Fisher was lean, wary, and clearly didn't like surprises. But when Marcus fixed his broken generator in minutes, Mike's guard dropped. "There's a loft out back," he said. "You can lay low." The loft smelled of wood and oil. Victoria tucked Lily and Noah under a blanket while Marcus scanned the alley below. Portland was louder than Harbor Point, bigger, faster, easier to disappear in. "We'll stay one night," Marcus said, "then move." "You think we can keep outrunning him?" she asked quietly. "No," he said, "but we can stay ahead long enough to make a plan." Her phone buzzed a message from an unknown number. A photo appeared. Marcus's old truck outside the motel. The caption read, "You forgot something." Marcus's jaw tightened. "He's tracking us." "How?" "GPS. The truck's chipped." "Then we ditch it," she said. They left before dawn, walking through the back alleys as the city yawned awake. Victoria kept her hood up, one hand gripping Lily's. "Where now?" "Someplace quiet," Marcus said. "You still got cash?" "A little, enough to disappear for a week." They found a fishing cabin by the docks, cheap, damp, but safe. Inside, Victoria heated instant soup over a camp stove. "It's not much," she said. "It's enough," Marcus replied. The kids ate quietly, their laughter soft but alive. Watching them, Marcus said, "You know, they trust you." "They trust you more," she replied. "Maybe because you still believe in things." "Like what?" "Fixing broken people." "That's a full-time job," he said. but his smile was gentle. Later that night, Victoria sat with her laptop, scrolling through files. "I've traced the money," she whispered. "Transfers go through shell companies in Delaware. My father's accountant, Peter Laird, handled them." "You trust him?" Marcus asked. "Not at all, but fear's a good motivator. He retired in Rockport, 2 hours north. Then we pay him a visit. You really think he'll talk? If not, I'll make him listen." They left before sunrise, taking a borrowed van from Mike's shop. The ocean glimmered steel gray beside them, gulls rising and falling like ghosts. Halfway there, Victoria's phone buzzed again, static, then a man's voice. "You can't hide forever, darling." She hung up, knuckles white. "He's taunting me." "Good," Marcus said. "Means he's nervous." They reached Rockport by noon. The accountant's house sat neat and white behind a fence, like nothing bad ever happened inside. Victoria straightened her coat. "I'll go alone. If he sees you, he'll panic." "5 minutes," Marcus said. "Then I'm coming in." She nodded and walked up the steps. Peter Laird opened the door, pale and sweating. "Miss Hale? Dear God, I don't have time," she cut in. "Tell me where the money went." "You shouldn't have come. They'll kill us both." "Then talk faster." He hesitated, then reached for a drawer. The files. His hand moved too quickly. Victoria reacted on instinct, grabbing a paperweight and striking him. He crumpled to the floor. Marcus rushed in. "You all right?" She stared at the man, shaking. He tried to grab something. Marcus checked the drawer. A gun lay inside. "You did fine." She held up a flash drive clutched in her hand. He said, "This proves everything. Payments, offshore accounts, my father's orders." Then we moved before his neighbors called the cops. They slipped out the back, through the garden, to the van. Victoria's voice trembled. "He knew I'd come. He was waiting." "Then he wasn't working for you anymore," Marcus said. "He was working for your father." They drove fast, rain returning in sheets. Marcus checked the mirror every few minutes. "We can't go to the police yet," he said. "We need to know what's on that drive first. And if it's enough, then we take it public. Eleanor knows people in the city council. Folks who still believe truth matters." Victoria looked out at the gray horizon. "If we go back to Harbor Point, he'll know." "Good," Marcus said. "Let him come. This time we'll be ready. You're turning this into a fight. It's been a fight since you walked into my shop." She smiled weakly. "And if we lose? Then at least we didn't run." The van rolled along the coastal highway, waves crashing hard against the cliffs. Lily stirred in the back seat. "Mommy, are we going home?" Victoria touched her cheek. "Soon, sweetheart." Marcus met her eyes in the mirror. "Define home," he said softly. "Anywhere he can't reach us," she replied. "Then let's make one." They drove in silence, the flash drive glinting like a small truth with the power to burn empires. Behind them, a black sedan appeared again in the fog, but this time Marcus didn't look back. He pressed harder on the gas. Justice wasn't about running anymore. It was about turning around and choosing where to stand. The van rolled into Harbor Point just before dusk. The streets were quiet, the ocean breathing slow beyond the harbor. Marcus parked behind his shop, the same place where it all began, the storm, the child, the billionaire with too many secrets. Victoria stared at the rusted sign, "Reed Auto and Repair," and whispered, "We shouldn't be here." "Exactly why it's the safest place," Marcus said. "Nobody expects you to run toward the fire." She followed him inside, the air heavy with the smell of oil and memory. He locked the door, pulled the curtains. "We'll stay till dawn," he said. "Eleanor's got connections. We'll get this drive to someone who can blow it wide open." Victoria nodded, holding the flash drive like a heartbeat in her palm. "If this works, he'll be finished." "If it works," Marcus corrected. "Men like your father have ways of surviving truth." She looked around the dim shop. "You ever get tired of saving people?" "Every damn day," he said. "Doesn't stop me." Upstairs, Eleanor waited, having sensed their return before they knocked. "Took you long enough," she said, opening the door with a knowing smile. "The whole town thinks you ran to Canada." Marcus handed her the drive. "We need someone you trust. Media, law, anything." Eleanor frowned, turning it in her wrinkled hand. "You sure what's on this won't bury you too?" "No," Marcus said, "but burying him matters more." Eleanor nodded slowly. "I'll call Reverend Bishop. His niece works at the state attorney's office." Might be the one honest job left. Thank you, Victoria said softly. Eleanor touched her arm. Child, you got your mother's eyes. Evelyn always believed good things don't shine unless they're tested by dark. You knew her? Knew of her. She donated the organ to our church before she passed. Victoria blinked. I didn't know that. Lots of things your father hid, Eleanor said. Maybe this drive will dig up the rest. That night, while Eleanor made her calls, Marcus and Victoria sat in the shop below. He cleaned tools just to keep his hands busy. You think this is enough? She asked. You think the truth will fix anything? Truth doesn't fix, he said. It clears the fog so you can see what's broken. She smiled faintly. You sound like a preacher again. Don't insult me, he said, but his eyes softened. They fell quiet until Noah came downstairs, rubbing his eyes. Dad, can I sleep here? Sure, buddy, Marcus said, patting the cot. Lily followed, dragging her blanket. She climbed next to Noah, whispering something that made him laugh. The sound eased the room like sunlight after rain. Victoria watched them, tears slipping silently. They deserve a normal life, she whispered. They will, Marcus said. After this. You don't promise things you can't keep. Then I'll keep this one. She met his gaze, half disbelief, half hope. You really mean that? More than anything. But before either could speak again, a crash shattered the calm. Glass exploded from the front window, a flash grenade rolling across the floor. Marcus lunged, covering Victoria as the room filled with smoke. Down, he yelled. Outside, voices barked orders, men in tactical gear, moving fast. They found us, Victoria coughed. No, Marcus said, eyes narrowing. They didn't find us, they followed Eleanor's call. He grabbed the kids, ushering them toward the back exit. Out the alley. He kicked the door open. Rain hammered the pavement. Behind them, boots pounded. Marcus fired one warning shot in the air. The attackers hesitated. He shoved Victoria toward the truck. Go. She hesitated. What about Eleanor? She's buying us time, he said, voice low. They drove out of Harbor Point at full speed, tires screeching against wet asphalt. Lily cried quietly in Victoria's arms, and even Noah stayed silent. Marcus's knuckles were white on the wheel. You think she'll be okay? Victoria asked. Eleanor's tougher than all of us, he said, but we can't go back. Then where? Somewhere he can't buy. She looked out the window. That doesn't exist, Marcus. Then we'll build it. They drove through the night until the highway opened to pine forests again. When they finally stopped, dawn was a faint bruise on the horizon. Marcus parked near an abandoned lookout tower. We rest here, he said. Victoria stepped out, wrapping her coat around Lily. The air was cold and still. We can't keep running, she whispered. Not with them. We're not, Marcus said. We're waiting. For what? For proof that she got through. He nodded toward the horizon where the first rays of light were rising. For the world to wake up. Hours later, his phone buzzed. One message. Unknown number. It's out. Attached was a link. A breaking news alert showing Hale Corp's offshore accounts, payments to private contractors, evidence of corporate sabotage. Victoria gasped, hand over her mouth. He's exposed. Marcus exhaled, tension draining from his shoulders. Eleanor did it. Then we're free? Not yet, he said. He's a cornered wolf now. Right on cue. The faint rumble of engines echoed from the distance. Marcus turned toward the sound. He's coming himself, he said. Richard Hale doesn't hide behind others when his empire burns. Victoria's voice trembled. Then this ends today. Marcus checked his pistol, eyes cold. It has to. She stepped closer, touching his arm. Promise me something. What? If he takes me, protect them. No deals, Marcus said. We walk out of this together. She smiled sadly. Stubborn man. Reckless woman, he replied. The wind picked up, carrying the scent of rain and gasoline. The storm wasn't over, it was circling back for its last strike. Marcus stood beside her, watching the horizon darken again. Justice isn't fair, he said quietly. It's just the closest thing we've got to hope. She took his hand. Then let's hope loud enough he can't silence it. Engines broke through the fog like thunder on four wheels. Marcus stood at the edge of the lookout, counting 3 black SUVs crawling up the hill. He's here, he muttered. Victoria held Lily and Noah behind the truck. He always comes to finish his own mess. The first SUV stopped. Richard Hale stepped out, crisp suit, silver hair, the calm of a man who'd never heard the word no. "You've cost me more than you understand, Victoria," he said, voice smooth as glass. "I cost you silence," she answered. "That's all you ever wanted." His gaze slid to Marcus. "And this is your savior? A mechanic who mistakes defiance for dignity?" "I just fix what rich men break," Marcus said. Richard sighed. "Turn over the drive. I'll let you walk away." "You taught me what your mercy costs," Victoria said. He waved 2 fingers. His guards moved forward. Marcus fired into the dirt near their boots. "Next one's not a warning." Richard didn't flinch. "You can't win. Power always resets the board." "Then I'm flipping the table," Marcus said. Thunder rolled across the coast like an omen. "Do you know what happens when you humiliate legacy?" Richard said. "The world loses faith." "No," Victoria said. "You lose control." The old man's mask cracked. "Your mother said the same before she ruined herself." "She lived," Victoria said. "You just didn't like her heart beating louder than your name." His eyes hardened. "Take the girl." One guard raised his weapon. Marcus shot first, the bullet shattering a headlight. "You're not taking anyone." The guards hesitated. "Trail behind the tower," Marcus told Victoria. "Take them now." "No," she said. "You'll die here." "Then at least it's for something that breathes." She grabbed the children and ran. Marcus moved behind the truck, firing steady, keeping their heads down. A bullet tore his shoulder. Pain flared hot but didn't stop him. Smoke, rain, and thunder mixed into one heartbeat. He saw Richard's figure through the haze, standing alone now. "You think this changes anything?" Richard shouted. "You'll fade like the rest." "Maybe," Marcus said, "but not today." Sirens cut through the storm. Red and blue lights painted the fog. Sheriff Morales's voice boomed. "Drop your weapon, Hale." Richard froze, disbelief flashing across his face. Marcus lowered his gun enough to show he wasn't the threat. Morales stepped out, deputies behind him. "It's over, Richard," he said. "Hands up." The old man's shoulders sagged as he dropped the pistol. Deputies rushed forward, cuffing him. "This is a mistake," Richard barked. "You can't arrest." "We just did," Morales said. "You're done buying silence." Richard turned to Marcus. "You think she'll thank you? You destroyed her inheritance." "I gave her one," Marcus said. "It's called peace." Morales approached him. "You always did know how to pick trouble." "It picks me," Marcus said, pressing his bleeding shoulder. From the tree line, Victoria appeared with Lily and Noah. She stopped when she saw the cuffs, her body shaking with relief. "It's over?" she asked. "Mostly," Marcus said. "He'll fight in court, but truth finally has a name again." Morales nodded. "The Attorney General's office confirmed it. Every offshore account, every payment. You lit up half the state." Victoria exhaled, tears streaking her face. "Eleanor?" "Safe," Morales said. "And loud about it." Marcus grinned faintly. "That's our girl." Richard, being led to the cruiser, spat. "This world forgets. You'll see." Victoria stepped close enough for him to hear. "Maybe, but she won't." She nodded toward Lily, who clung to Marcus's hand. The door slammed, the sirens faded. Silence returned, heavy and clean. Morales turned to Marcus. "Hospital's on the way. You'll need stitches." "Add it to my tab," Marcus said. Victoria wrapped her scarf around his shoulder to stop the bleeding. "You kept your promise," she whispered. "You didn't let him take her." "You kept it too," he said. "You didn't run." Lily hugged his waist, her voice tiny. "Are we going home now?" Marcus knelt beside her. "Yeah, baby, we're going home." Victoria smiled through tears. "And where is that?" He looked toward the harbor, where morning light finally cut through the clouds. "Wherever he can't find us," he said. Morales tipped his hat. "You two should get gone before the reporters arrive. They'll want a hero." "Tell them I'm retired," Marcus said. The sheriff chuckled. "Not a chance." As the patrol cars disappeared down the road, Marcus turned to Victoria. "When this is over, we buy donuts, not headlines." "And after that?" she asked. "We teach the kids that justice isn't thunder. It's doing right when no one's looking." She took his hand, her eyes softer than the rain. "Then let's do right." The wind eased, the ocean sighed, and for the first time since the storm began, the sky stayed quiet. A week passed, but the storm never really left Harbor Point. News vans still crowded the courthouse steps, talking heads arguing about corruption, legacy, and the fall of the Hale Empire. Marcus wanted nothing to do with any of it. He spent the days in his shop, fixing engines, sweeping oil from the floor, pretending peace was just another job. Victoria and the kids stayed in a small house up the hill, one that used to belong to Eleanor's cousin. Quiet, safe, or close enough. That evening, she came by with dinner, chicken, biscuits, and the kind of exhaustion that comes from fighting the right fight too long. "They're calling him the ghost of Harbor Point," she said, setting the bag down. "He's claiming illness, trying for house arrest." "Let him rot in a bigger house," Marcus said. "Walls are walls," she smiled faintly. "You always know how to make hope sound like hard work. It usually is." She studied him for a long moment. "You could testify, you know. People would listen." "I did my part," he said. "Now it's your name on that paperwork, not mine." "Our names," she corrected. "They'll ask about you anyway. Then tell them I fix things, not politics." He sat, wiping his hands on a rag. "How's Lily holding up?" "Better. She sleeps through the night now. Noah, too." She hesitated. "She keeps asking about you." "She's just being polite," he said, trying not to smile. Victoria sat opposite him. "You could come by. She misses the sound of your truck. That truck's a mess." "So are we," she said softly. "But maybe that's the point." Marcus didn't answer. He poured 2 coffees, the silence between them thicker than the smell of grease. "You think it's over?" she asked. "For him, maybe," Marcus said. "For you? No. You'll have to rebuild your last name before people stop whispering. And you? I never had one to rebuild." She leaned forward, eyes searching. "You're wrong, Marcus. You've built something here. People trust you. Trust don't last long when headlines fade. Then make it last. Start something. A garage for veterans, maybe. Kids who need work, guidance. I'm no teacher. You already taught me more about courage than any school could." Her voice trembled just a little, and it was that sound, not the words, that undid him. He looked at her, at the woman who'd lost everything and still managed to stand taller than her father ever could. "You don't quit, do you?" "No," she said. "Neither do you." A knock came at the door. Morales stepped in, hat tucked under his arm. "Evening," he said. "Got something you should both hear." He turned on the small radio he carried. The announcer's voice crackled. "Breaking news. Former industrialist Richard Hale was found unresponsive in his holding cell late this afternoon. Preliminary reports suggest heart failure." The room went quiet. Victoria's face went pale. "He's dead?" Morales nodded. "Looks that way. Officially natural causes. Unofficially." "You don't buy it," Marcus said. "I've seen too many neat endings," the sheriff replied. "But it's over, at least legally." Victoria sank into the chair, staring at nothing. "I thought I'd feel relief," she whispered. "Instead it just feels empty." Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder. "That's because you wanted justice, not revenge. They don't weigh the same." "Maybe they should," she murmured. "If they did, we'd all drown," he said. Morales put his hat back on. "Town's asking if you'll both attend the memorial next week. For your mother, not him." Victoria nodded slowly. "I'll be there." When the sheriff left, she stayed quiet for a long time. Marcus poured her another coffee. "You okay?" he asked. "I don't know who I am without him," she said. "Then that's the good part," he said. "Now you get to decide." She looked up, tears shimmering but held back. "You sound like someone who knows. I just learned the hard way." She stood, walking to the doorway, looking out at the bay. "Do you think people can really change, Marcus?" "I think they can try," he said. "That's the only part that counts." She nodded, then glanced back with a small, weary smile. "Come tomorrow," she said. "Lily wants to show you the painting she made." "What's it of?" "You," she said, then walked out before he could respond. Marcus sat there for a long time after she left, the hum of the radio fading to static. He thought of the little girl who'd once been lost in a storm and the woman who'd walked out of her father's shadow. He thought of how sometimes saving people wasn't about grand moments, it was about staying when the noise stopped. Outside, the tide rolled in, calm and sure. He closed the shop for the night, locking the door, then looked once more at the empty street. The world had shifted just slightly toward balance. And though he'd never say it out loud, he knew what tomorrow meant. It wasn't an ending. It was the first morning that didn't smell like fear. Morning came soft and silver over Harbor Point, the kind that made the ocean look like glass and the world seem almost forgiven. Marcus walked up the hill toward Victoria's cottage, a paper bag in one hand, coffee in the other. The smell of salt mixed with the faint sweetness of biscuits he'd baked at dawn, his clumsy version of peace offerings. He knocked lightly. Lily opened the door, still in her pajamas, paint smudged on her fingers. "You came," she said, bright as sunlight. "You promised." He grinned. Couldn't break a deal with the artist. She ran inside to fetch her painting while he stepped in. The house smelled like lemon and new beginnings. Victoria stood in the kitchen, hair tied up, wearing one of his old flannels she'd borrowed weeks ago and never returned. "Morning," she said. "I brought breakfast," he offered, setting the bag down. "And coffee. You learning manners now? Trying to impress the locals?" "One in particular?" she teased. "Maybe." They shared a quiet smile that felt more natural than it should have. Lily came running back, holding her painting. It showed a bright yellow house, the sea behind it, and 3 figures, 2 adults and 2 children standing hand in hand. "That's us," she said proudly. "Except you don't smile enough." Marcus crouched to her level, eyes soft. "I'll work on that." Victoria looked at the picture for a long time before whispering, "She gave us a home before we even built it." "Smart kid," Marcus said. "Gets it from her mom." They ate together at the small table by the window. For a while, the world outside was just waves and gulls, nothing broken to fix. Then Morales's cruiser pulled up outside. Marcus sighed. "Peace never lasts long around me." Victoria's smile faded. "What now?" The sheriff stepped in, hat in hand. "Morning, folks. Don't panic, nothing bad. I just thought you should know something before the town hears it." He handed Marcus a folder. Inside were newspaper clippings, and a photo of a man Marcus recognized instantly, Cole Vance, Richard Hale's former head of security. "They found him?" Marcus asked. Morales nodded. "He disappeared after the arrest. Feds picked him up in New York 2 days ago. He's talking." "Talking how?" "He's claiming Hale wasn't acting alone. There are still people out there, politicians, investors trying to bury the case. He's naming names." Victoria stiffened. "So it isn't over?" "No," Morales said, "but at least now the light's on." He glanced at the kids. "Sorry to bring this to your door. I figured you'd rather hear it from me." Marcus nodded. "Appreciate it." When the sheriff left, Victoria turned to him. "What do we do now?" "Same thing we've been doing," he said. "Live, but keep your guard up. You sound like you don't believe we can." "I believe it," he said. "I just know peace needs protecting like anything else worth keeping." She came closer, searching his face. "You don't have to keep saving us, Marcus." "Maybe not," he said, "but I want to." That night, the town held a memorial for Evelyn Hale. The small chapel by the docks filled with people, fishermen, shopkeepers, even the mayor. Victoria stood at the front, hand resting on Lily's shoulder. Marcus stayed near the back, hat in his hands, letting her own voice tell the story that was hers to reclaim. "My mother taught me that love without courage is decoration," Victoria said. "For years I thought she meant romance. Now I know she meant life. My father built an empire on silence. My mother built a life on truth. I choose hers." Applause rippled softly through the pews. Marcus caught Morales's eye. The sheriff nodded once, as if to say, "It's okay to breathe again." After the service, Victoria walked to Marcus outside. "You stayed," she said. "Didn't plan to leave," he replied. "You could have." "Not while you were still finding your voice." "And what about you?" "I've got oil changes booked tomorrow. That's voice enough." She smiled, tired but real. "Do you ever think about what comes next?" "Every night. Then I stop thinking and let tomorrow find me first." She studied him quietly. "Lily calls you her hero. She'll grow out of it." "I don't think so." "Then I'll have to earn it," he said. They stood there as the sun set over the water, the gulls circling like white punctuation in the sky. Lily and Noah ran ahead, chasing each other across the pier. Victoria turned toward the sea, voice soft. "It feels strange. Peace, I mean. Like it's waiting to be broken." "Maybe that's what peace really is," Marcus said. "Not the absence of noise, just knowing which noise is worth keeping." She laughed quietly. "That's poetic for a mechanic." "Don't tell anybody," he said. They watched the kids until the light faded, until the ocean turned black and the town lights flickered one by one. When they walked back, she slipped her hand into his, small, certain, unspoken. Neither of them said what they both knew, that the storm might one day return, but tonight they'd earned the calm. Marcus looked up at the stars, barely cutting through the clouds, and thought maybe, just maybe, fixing broken things didn't always mean tools and metal. Sometimes it meant people brave enough to start over. And for the first time, he didn't feel like a man running from ghosts. He felt like one walking toward home. The weeks that followed felt like borrowed time. The headlines faded, the cameras left, and Harbor Point slipped back into its quiet rhythm, the kind that made the sea sound like forgiveness. Marcus reopened the garage full-time, fixing trucks, changing oil, drinking bad coffee. It was a small life, but it fit him like an old jacket. Victoria worked at the local library, helping kids with after-school programs. The townsfolk, who once whispered about the billionaire's daughter, now smiled when she passed. Still, there were cracks under the peace. Marcus noticed it in the way she lingered at the windows when it rained, or how she flinched at the sound of a backfiring engine. He said nothing. He just stayed close, because words never healed what presence could. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, Victoria showed up at his shop, hair windblown, worry etched into her brow. "You need to see this," she said, handing him her phone. A news alert glowed on the screen. "Cole Vance escapes federal custody." Marcus's jaw tightened. "When?" "This morning. 2 guards dead. They think he's heading north." "Toward us," Marcus said flatly. "He wants to finish the job." "He'll come for me," she said quietly. "No," Marcus said, handing back the phone. "He'll come for me. I humiliated him. You just survived him." "Marcus, don't argue. Get the kids to Eleanor's. I'll handle the rest." "You can't fight this alone," she said. "Wasn't planning to. Morales owes me coffee." An hour later, the sheriff's pickup pulled into the lot. "Heard the news," Morales said. "You think he's dumb enough to show here?" "He's proud enough," Marcus replied. "And pride makes dumb look brave." Morales nodded grimly. "Then let's be ready." They set up motion lights around the shop and armed themselves with what they had: shotguns, flashlights, and quiet resolve. Marcus checked the door locks twice, then turned to Morales. "You sure you want in on this?" "I told my wife I'd stop chasing ghosts," the sheriff said. "Didn't say I'd stop catching them." Night fell heavy, the kind that pressed on your chest. The wind carried the faint smell of salt and smoke. They waited. Hours passed, the silence stretching until it hummed. Then a sound crunching gravel outside. Marcus glanced at Morales. Back door. They moved like men who'd done this before, steps measured, breath slow. The door creaked open. A figure slipped in, tall, lean, gun in hand. Marcus didn't wait. He lunged, knocking the weapon aside. The fight was fast and brutal, all elbows and breath. Cole's face appeared in the flickering light, scarred, eyes burning with something beyond rage. "You took everything from me," he spat. "No," Marcus grunted, dodging a blow. "I just stopped you from taking more." They crashed into a workbench, tools scattering. Morales fired a warning shot into the air. "Drop it, Vance." Cole turned, slamming Marcus into the wall. "You think you can save her? You can't even save yourself." Marcus shoved him back, voice low and steady. "That's the difference between us. I don't have to win. I just have to stop you." Cole raised a knife. The motion lights flashed as lightning cut the sky. Morales fired again, one clean shot. Cole hit the floor, the blade clattering beside him. For a moment, only the rain spoke. Morales lowered the gun. "You good?" "Better than him," Marcus said, breathing hard. They stood there, soaked in sweat and silence, until the sirens wailed in the distance. When the deputies arrived, Victoria appeared too, ignoring orders to stay back. She ran straight to Marcus. "Are you?" "I'm fine," he said, though his voice trembled. She saw the cut on his arm and pressed her hand to it. "You scared me. Join the club." Morales gave them a tired smile. "That's twice now, Reed. Next time, try something less dramatic." No promises. By morning, the news broke. Cole Vance dead in Harbor Point standoff. The story ended where it began: one man protecting a stranger's child and finding a family he didn't expect. Marcus sat outside the shop as dawn painted the sky, coffee in hand, bandage on his arm. Victoria joined him, wrapping a blanket around his shoulders. "You could have died," she said. "Would have been a good day for it," he said with a faint grin. "Quiet. No paperwork." She shook her head, half smiling. "You joke too much for a man who keeps almost dying." occupational hazard. She sat beside him, watching the ocean. You think it's finally over? Maybe. But peace isn't something that stays put. You have to feed it. With what? Patience, work, pancakes on Sundays. And what if the past comes back again? He took her hand, warm against the cool dawn. Then we face it, same as before. The street below them woke slowly, shop doors opening, gulls crying over the pier, a truck rumbling past. For the first time, there was no tension in the sound, just life, ordinary and whole. Victoria leaned against him. You ever think we were meant to meet? Nah, Marcus said softly. I think we just didn't quit walking. And where do we walk now? He looked out at the horizon, light breaking gold over the sea. Forward, he said. Always forward. She smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. Then let's go home. The wind shifted, carrying laughter from the town below. Marcus closed his eyes, feeling something like peace settle in his chest. The storm was finally done, and for the first time in years, he wasn't just surviving the day, he was living it. Spring returned to Harbor Point like an apology. The storms were gone, the sea had gentled, and the town had begun to forget the chaos that once held it hostage. Marcus never minded being forgotten. Quiet was its own kind of reward. The garage was busier now, mostly with locals who brought coffee instead of complaints. On Saturdays, he taught teenagers how to change oil and patch tires, and though he'd never call it teaching, the town did. They'd started calling the place Reed's Rest Stop, a name he pretended to hate but secretly liked. Across town, Victoria had turned the old Hale mansion into a community center. She'd torn down the iron gates herself, replacing them with open gardens and benches. Every weekend, people came to read, paint, talk, or just sit under the oaks that once stood guard for power. Now they sheltered peace. It was late afternoon when Marcus arrived there with Lily and Noah. The place was alive with color kids laughing, an old blues band tuning up near the steps. Victoria spotted him and waved, sunlight catching the red in her hair. You're late, she called. Traffic, he said. 2 seagulls fighting over a sandwich. She smiled. You could have just said you stopped for pie. That too. Lily ran to her mother, showing off her new drawing, a truck with wings soaring over the harbor. It's Mr. Marcus's magic truck, she said proudly. Victoria looked at him, amused. Flying now, is it? Just in her stories, he said. That's where it belongs. They walked together through the garden, the sound of laughter spilling from every corner. You did this, Marcus said quietly. You turned the Hale name into something people can actually say without spitting. We did this, she corrected. You kept me from running. You were the one who stopped, because someone stood still long enough for me to. He smiled, small and real. Guess I'm stubborn that way. Guess I like stubborn. The band started playing a slow tune, something soft and old that made the air feel like memory. Eleanor appeared, cane in hand, moving slower than she used to, but with the same fierce eyes. I told you 2 fools it would end right, she said. You didn't listen. Marcus hugged her gently. We got there eventually. Eventually, she grumbled. You nearly broke half the town first. Keeps people entertained, Marcus said. Eleanor laughed. You're both fools. Good-hearted ones, but fools. Wouldn't argue that, Victoria said. They watched as the sun began to set, painting the mansion's white walls gold. The music swelled, and for a moment, it felt like every scar, every loss, every wrong turn had been leading here. Eleanor leaned close to Victoria. You going to tell him? Victoria hesitated, then turned to Marcus. Tell me what? He asked. She took a breath, eyes bright. The Attorney General's office called this morning. They want me to lead the state's transparency task force, help build policies against corporate fraud. He blinked, surprised. You're serious? They said they need someone who's lived it, not just studied it. That's you all over, he said. You gonna take it? She nodded slowly. If you'll come with me, he frowned. Me? What would I do in D.C.? Fix things, she said simply. That's what you do. He chuckled. I don't wear suits. Then don't. Just be you. You sure about this? No, she said. But I've learned that's when life matters most. The song ended, and applause rolled through the garden like gentle thunder. Marcus looked at the children playing tag under the trees, at the house reborn into something good, and then back at her. You really think this can last? No, she said, smiling. But we'll make it last long enough to matter. He nodded, the decision quiet but firm. Then let's go where we're needed next. Eleanor wiped a tear discreetly. About damn time. The sky deepened to orange, then purple. As the band packed up, the kids tugged at Marcus's sleeve. Can we get ice cream? Lily asked. Only if your mom says yes, he said. Victoria laughed. We'll all go. They walked together toward the main street, the sheriff tipping his hat as they passed, shopkeepers waving from porches. People who once pitied them now smiled like neighbors. When they reached the pier, the sunset stretched endless across the water. Lily held one hand of each adult, swinging between them. Are we a family now? She asked. Marcus and Victoria exchanged a look that said everything words didn't need to. Yeah, Marcus said softly. We are. The wind brushed past, warm and forgiving. In the distance, the lighthouse flickered on, steady against the twilight. Marcus watched it and thought about how it didn't stop storms. It just showed people where to go when they came. That, he realized, was all any of them could do, shine when it was darkest and stand when it mattered. He felt Victoria's hand tighten in his, grounding him in the now, in the peace they'd earned. Come on, she said. Ice cream's melting. Wouldn't want to waste justice and dessert, he said, earning a laugh that felt like home. As they walked down the pier, the world felt whole again, not perfect, not fixed, but alive, and that was enough. The past had been buried by truth, the future unpromised but open, and in between stood three people who'd found their way through the storm by choosing to stay. Above them, gulls wheeled against the fading light, and the ocean whispered what they already knew. Some endings aren't about finishing, they're about beginning again.